Good morning. Welcome, welcome. Let's get settled into the room, shall we? I'm getting sort of mixed reports about eclipse season and this sort of closing down of long cycles. If we wanted a bit more information about what's coming through and how we need to navigate that, let me know. I just went and grabbed my cards before this session. I had a feeling that we just needed some higher insights, so I can sort of feel my divination guide just scanning everyone. This is interesting. So the buffalo, very sturdy, very strong. Now it's interesting that your resources have dropped. I wonder if what we're now working on for you is, even when your resources drop, are you this strong now? When a lot of the students end up heading into 5D, their resources remain pretty stable. And when they're getting those energetic ups and downs, they're not actually bottoming out completely. It's a bit more of an energetic awareness on what situation or what habit is now out of alignment. But the buffalo tells me there's actually way more strength and sturdiness there than maybe you're realizing. So have a think about 6 months ago where your resources would have been at. And does 50% feel much different now? And in what situations have you been the buffalo, or could you be the buffalo for other people? So what I notice with people that have buffalo totems is as soon as they walk into the room, everybody relaxes. There is just a strength to them. You're noticing that you're feeling lower. I feel like underneath there's a baseline that's really, really strong. So what actions do I need to take for this to be my baseline all the time, every time, right? Because after a while, when we've had periods of dysfunction, when we've had diseases or things that have knocked us out, there has to be a shift in the belief systems that says, you know what? No, I'm strong. I'm not going to keep on calling myself sensitive and fragile and too sensitive for this and too much. What if the buffalo came in and said, you know, I am so strong, I'm selective, but I can definitely take creative all-in days now. Maybe I just have to tweak a few things. Yeah, seeing your worth, but also a fundamental belief system that you are incredibly strong. So the attitude changes in the mind, right? And even an attitude shift can increase your resources. Ooh. Black cockatoo, my love. So usually when black cockatoo comes through for me, it's confirmation from spirit. Move forward, do the thing that you're thinking of doing. You have a green light yes scenario. It is a lot about worth, but I think it's a lot about divine timing too. So when the black cockatoos come in, it's really saying timing is right, you're in the right place, conditions are right, resources are right. It would be really lovely if we could run, and we can, but run everything past like a village of elders, right? This would be probably our most secure way of saying like what I'm doing is right. We would go to a bunch of people that have been watching us since we were born, and we'd say, hey, I really want to do this thing. This is how I've planned it, blah, 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 blah. They would say, you are worthy. It is time. And the village agrees. This is my card for that feeling. And sometimes we have to emulate that experience. So it'd be really great to go and see all the elders and be like, you know, am I worthy of this? Am I worthy of starting my business or being a healer or whatever it is? But we have to provide that for ourselves. And sometimes divine timing is that last part. We can say, yes, I've got the resources and I've got the skill set and I know I can do it, but is it the right time? Black cockatoo says yes. Your village is actually, in my framework, your support network, your entire support network. So your guides, yes, mentors and coaches for sure. Family and friends, I think we should always run it past them when you're about to do something or change your belief system or make a big move. I think just saying to partner and those closest to you, like, is this going to upset you if I do this, or can you foresee any problems? If you get a yes all around, or some people say, yeah, but think of this, think of this, think of this, that's great. But the last signal is generally, I would probably say, depending on what your guiding team are like, but I'd probably say, depending on what the move is, if it was a move towards helping and healing people, I would probably wait for the healing guide to give it's time. Maybe it's the totem at times, maybe it's the guardian guide, but Black Cockatoo says all conditions are great. There's also the shadow aspect of that is if you are dancing around whether you're good enough in any paradigm, it's a complete distraction, right? Because we know most of the big things that we do is really spirit saying, what the fuck are you waiting for? Like, come on, we've set the scene, we've made the path. You have to walk it. Let's go. But we sit there in like indecision because we're just scared, right? We need the courage. We want the leap. One of the biggest things I see, and I do a lot myself, is waiting for a sign from the universe. This is your sign, but actually, it's not often the way that it works. It's more that if you work hard towards it, you set your intention, you get your guides involved, you look at your values, you do all the work that you've done, your guides open the path. Then we decide to sit in the resistance of, oh, but I don't know if I have enough. I don't know if people want the. That is really your ego just going, I haven't decided whether it's safe. Nobody else is telling me yes. And because we are so in need of like a whole bunch of elders saying it's time, basically you have to do it, then we sit in the indecision and the weight of the responsibility, right? So it's the same resistance that you get leading up to vision quests, because vision quests were always, I guess, outside of your control. It was really, again, the elders saying, it's time, something's about to, you need this initiation, we can tell, off you go, no arguments. So when we're left to our own devices, we have to be our own elders, our own mum and dad, our own governing forces, but it's also us going, wait, no, I'm not ready. Does that make sense? So the snake says this will actually be a transformation. So think about a transformation. It's like, it's not meant to be comfortable. Your anxiety is telling you that something big is coming. So accept it. It's your indicator that something big is going to unfold. I think we get into the paradigm of that it's going to be bad. That's why I feel this way. But we feel anxious before some of the most profoundly beautiful things in our life, right? So the snake says the transformation is already happening. Possibly the transformation will be biggest preparing you to get there. So once you get there, it sort of just all plays out. It's a very energetically held space. I know the crew that do the healing area there, and they work very hard on the land. They work very hard on the energetics, and they're also there to help with bad spirits entering and everything. So one of my mentees is the lady that organizes all of that. So very strong, powerful people on site. But your transformation is just to get there. So transformations are slow, uncomfortable, messy, icky, but know that your anxiety is registering something's coming and it's big, and you're transforming to match the frequency. So generally the energetic frequency of a festival is pretty profound, abundant, pretty high in many respects. And it's really what we have to shed to get there. And once you get there, honestly, just ground into the land and just use all those practices to stay grounded. So what really works is the first card opens up the conversation and you go, oh yeah, I get it. I know what that is. I think most of the courage comes from asking the right question. My clients send me their readings all the time and say, what do you think about this? And I say, well, it depends on your question. We could read it 1,000 different ways. So depending on now the specifics of where we can hone in, we're now looking towards how do I turn this information now to action that serves me? So the tiger, because you were thinking about, do I bother with investing time and energy and money into this person when they're just going to go and they've already told me that they don't see a future? The tiger really says, well, what about the beauty in showing up to it anyway? What about the beauty in learning? Tiger's very powerful, obviously, but I think your response to just, I couldn't be bothered, is probably in a way you wanting to be in the more powerful position. And we do this with relationships. We're like, well, I don't want to seem vulnerable hanging out with someone that's not really interested. But what if there was something in it for you that didn't need to be long-term commitment with your forever person? What if it was just like, my heart's calling me here. I want to find out where my resistance lies, and I want to find the beauty in just investing some time in someone, even when it's not going where I need it to go. I think there's power in that. There's sort of a vulnerable surrender to it that I really, really love. Yeah, you don't want to get your heart broken, But a tiger has a lot of resources and a lot of strength. So if you adopted this energy and you went in there with the strength of a tiger doesn't have to worry as much as a bird or a reptile, right? A tiger can sort of move into any situation and just be like, I'm just going to see what's here for me. I'm going to see if there's any interesting parts. I'm going to see if it makes me feel good, knowing that from that situation, the heartache isn't big enough to take down the tiger. And you do have good systems, good structures, good awareness, good resources right now to take a risk. Tigers are all about risk. Actually, most big cats are all about risk. And it doesn't mean you have to go full force into it. And it doesn't mean you have to go full force out of it. That's a fight and flight response. So some people move towards things that they fear. If you did have a big cat totem, you'll be like, well, I'm just going to go in there and tell him that age isn't a problem and I'll be waiting for him, right? It's probably too much. But also there's a response to get out because of that fear. But what if we just kept on moving through it and held both the nourishment and the connection and the grief at the same time? What would that look like? It's sort of where tigers do really well. They can go in and hold all of it without the fear turning them skittish. I hope that makes sense. So a good question to journal about would be, is fear a good enough reason not to go into something that seems like it might have a learning for me? Again, if we just back away from everything because of fear, then we reinforce that we're scared, we're fearful people. We reinforce all of our conditioning, even the conditioning around, I want to avoid heartache. Heartache is one of the most profound, life-changing parts. An initiation for most young people in this world is to get their heart broken. You know, they're all very innocent at 16, 17. As soon as they get their heart broken, the maturity comes in. The shift in perspective is profound. They start to know who they are. It is an initiation. It's a big unfolding. And I think over time, we have the same choice. We can go into the depths of connection, or we can keep everybody at arm's length because we're afraid of heartache and loss. But if we change our relationship with heartache and loss and grief and say, well, it's been the most profound parts of my life that have taught me the most, then maybe we go towards the learning and the training program, right? When we put leopard on top, this is really interesting. The leopard says, what we might need here is higher values. So if you've got a value system like everybody around you and those values are just like, oh, you just, you get up, you do your bit and you work hard and then you're done. If you upgrade your value system, which means your values might be higher than that. It might be, well, no, I'm here to seek out purpose and I'm here to help people and I'm going to make sure that I serve a better world. Your value system comes up here and then you start to attract people with similar value system. Now, the risk and the shadowy part is sometimes you have to distance yourself from people that represent the old value system because we run the risk of needing their validation all the time. So the leopard is independent, a big cat energy. It's a lot of energy, but what's coming through with the big cats is like sometimes we need to adopt that power and that strength for us to upgrade something. The leopard says, let's aim higher. So if we layer the message with rabbit and leopard, it's really the right people, the right situations, the right environments, the right habits and behaviors, and a higher value system, which might put you out of alignment with the people that you sometimes hang out with, which is a bit of a warning with the rabbit. And would you thrive with people that actually had a similar value system? So what I do when I'm trying to upgrade my values and move forward is I surround myself in the conversations and the narratives of people that have higher value systems. And that can be easy. It doesn't have to be like go out and find 10 new friends. It can just be absorb yourself in positive material. So you might read 15 minutes of nonfiction every day from people that have made it to the level of success that you're looking for. You might only listen to podcasts with other people that, want to help and want to serve and have personal stories of triumph, whatever it is. It's really about getting us to that next tier And surrounding you in nature, which is the rabbit's action steps, is really about you preparing for that upgrade. So I'm hoping that is resonating, and have a think about, Wayne, like what kind of action steps you need as well to upgrade your values. So sometimes it's just a writing exercise of saying, like, what are my current values? What do I really love? What do I really believe in? And do my relationships and my environment honor that right now? So, for example, if you really want to value or are trying to value transparency, vulnerability, honesty, authenticity, you do a lot of exercises around, well, what does authenticity mean to me? And how do I know when I've got it? And how do I know when other people have got it? And do I know any authentic people? And am I hanging out in authentic places? If the answer is no, then we have to start shifting where we're hanging out and how we're using our energy in those places. So it's sort of like this selective change in putting the right situations around you. It's kind of the difference between, if you really wanted to upgrade your value system, you would probably look at what conversations and energy are you around. And I've done this for a few clients. I've had to, even down to the algorithms that they're watching, change their hashtags. I get them to unfollow a whole bunch of crappy, dramatic, whatever it is that they're watching, and start watching things aligned with our goals. It might be wealth management, it might be healthy eating, it might be better exercise, it might be specific conversation around energy healing or shamanism. I want them to be surrounded by that positive reinforcement, and that influences them enough to get their value system higher, so they don't rely on what everybody else is watching, what everybody else is reading, what everybody else is into, because they're actually striving for more. So there's something about Wayne particularly that we're about to upgrade for you, but we need to take some 3D action towards it. What I was noticing, particularly after events in the early days, was even some of my advanced students were calling me a week after saying, like, I don't know what's happening, everything's gone crazy. And I was like, well, what was your integration plan? And they said, I didn't have one. I just get home and rest. And I said, well, do you think your system needs structure so that you can actually follow and understand that 3 days out, I'm going to feel emotionally volatile, but that's okay. I don't have to react. 1 week out, I'm still making sure that these systems are in place, down to boundaries with the family. I have one advanced student that she schedules in hot and cold therapy for weeks after each big event, which means that her body moves through both the rebuilding and the decay of what's happened. And that's her way of knowing that she's not meant to feel stable and good after a big upgrade. It's actually a process. I think lots of planning can also help that healthy divine masculine aspect to come through, protects your resources, and reminds your mind. It's really your mind that goes, we were doing so well and now we've bottomed out and now it's this. But what if it was just like, this is part of the process? I mark it in my diary 7 days in, starting to feel a little more stable, but not there yet. And have we done the journaling, and have we done the affirmations, and have we done the sit in silence? It's like we forget about all of that. We think that our mind is just going to be the same as it was before the upgrade, but it's actually your mind trying to keep up and stretching into the new parameters. So adopt the big energies. Find yourself a power animal down in the lower world that's going to be in charge of this for you. It'll be big, it'll be strong, and it's going to teach you about how to change that attitude. So, and sometimes you can hack into it. What kind of support would I need? What would I need to delegate? How am I going to get everybody's numbers while I'm there? How am I going to look after my body afterwards? If you start converting your leads well, maybe you can afford massages and float tanks, whatever it is, your flavor of integration, and really just holding your body to hold the upgrade every time. And then your mind follows. All right, wonderful session, everyone. And that was really cute with the card readings. I felt like in the middle of the eclipse, we kind of just need to know what's opening up for us. But heaps of love. I will see you again very soon, and have a beautiful day. Much love.